Okay, we are going to start today the topic of the leadership, and first we'll study who is a leader, then we'll talk about the details of the leadership. Leader is a person who sets the long-term goals of the business. Long-term goals, objectives of the business, who is associated with the development of vision, mission statements, of business. Leader is the person who develops the culture of the business organizations. Who develops the culture of business organizations. Actually, he provides the roadmap to the people in which they can organize their work. And when we talk about the leadership definition is very simple. Leadership is the art of motivation towards achieving common goals of business. This is what we call leadership. Now, coming back towards the topic, we are actually going to talk about two things. One is the leadership positions in the business organization. We will study that who owns the position of leader in the business. And then we'll study that what are the types of the leadership. Okay. In the new syllabus, the leadership and the management will be commonly used. The word management can also be used in replacement of leadership, so you can use both words for that. And in the papers that will be tested in future, in the replacement of the word leadership style, the management style might also be used, so you should be aware of that. First of all, what are the positions, leadership or management positions inside the business? First of all, we have CEO, that stands for Chief Executive Officer. CEO is the highest ranked officer in the business organization, most senior manager. In the pyramid, every ultimate manager is responsible to the CEO of the business. His responsibilities are making corporate decisions, responsibilities are making corporate decisions. When we speak the term corporate decisions, it means the decisions that are related with the long-term strategy. For example, opening of a new office in a new country or not, closing an existing factory operations or not, introducing a new product that might affect the business overall or not. He is responsible for managing the overall operations of business. Managing overall operations of business. He's also responsible for the management of company's resources. So these are some few responsibilities that a leader, that a manager who is called CEO or the leader is called CEO will be performing. Another position that leaders take in the business organization is director. So we'll talk about who are the directors. Directors are the appointed or elected members of the board of directors. They can be appointed by the CEO, appointed or elected members of board of directors. Now, I suppose that we remember the discussion of the board of directors that we have earlier done in the unit number 1. Directors have the responsibility of the implementing the policies that have been made. Responsible for the policies that business has developed. Then we have managers. Manager is a person, an individual who is responsible for the resources and decision making. We have studied the definition of the manager in detail, and we have studied the functions of the management and the roles of management both. Who is responsible for people, resources, decision making, etc. Managers have authority over the employees that are actually working. They direct, motivate the staff. Etc. They create discipline among the employees. Then we have another leadership or the management position in the business that is called supervisors. Supervisors are the people who are appointed by the management to watch the workers. Are the people appointed by the managers to watch the workers. If we talk about the supervisor, usually supervisors are the in charge of a production unit. Supervisors are the in charge of a floor in the case of a retail store, for example. They are not directly involved in the major decision making process of the business, but they are responsible for leading and controlling a team. Leading, controlling a team. So these people are called supervisors. Now we'll talk about the next thing that we are going to talk about is the styles of the management or the styles of the leadership. Styles of leadership or the styles of management. We'll start with the autocritic management. Autocratic management style is the style of leadership in which manager takes all the decisions or the leader takes all the decisions. And there is no involvement of the workers or very little or no. And sometimes we call it no involvement at all. There is no involvement of workers in that. Okay, Ji. We'll talk about the main features of the autocritic, and we'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages of this autocritic style of leadership or management. Features of autocritic style. First of all, we have studied manager takes all the decisions. They give a very little information to the workers. They give very little information to the workers. There is a close supervision on the work. Close supervision on the work. In the autocratic style of leadership, one-way communication is used. One-way communication means there are always orders passing down to the juniors and there is no feedback that is taken from the juniors. One-way communication method is used. As a result of that, workers do have a very little information about the business even. Very little information about the business. So these are a few features of the autocratic style of management. If we talk about the advantages of the autocratic leadership style, there are many advantages, although it looks like very autocratic, bureaucratic. Usually armies are using this style of leadership because when they are fighting somewhere in the emergency situation, they cannot discuss whether to fire on the enemy or not. They have to be autocratic. If leader has said fire, to they have to fire, or leader have said something, they just have to go according to this situation that leader has said. But there are certain advantages of autocratic style too, and we'll talk about. First of all, employees exactly know where they stand, and this helps to avoid misconceptions. Employees exactly know where they stand. And I told you that this will help to avoid the misconceptions. In the autocratic style, the instructions are very clear. I told you that in the autocratic style, instructions are very clear. I was saying that the instructions are very clear in autocratic style. Such style of management or leadership is very good in certain situations. For example, where quick response is needed. Very good in situations where quick response is needed. I told you that when there is a war going on, or you have to immediately reply to your customers, and you feel that if you reply late, you might lose the order. So in such situations, it's very good method to be used. And even some employees are not willing to participate in situations, and to handle towards handling such employees, you can also opt the autocratic style. Some employees are not participative. So in such situations, we can use autocratic style of leadership. Coming to the disadvantages and limitations, first of all, this is a very demotivating style of leadership. As a result of that, you may expect high labor turnover because employees who are participative in nature may leave the businesses early. This is also called non-learning and non-training environment, because if you do not involve people in the decision-making process, how will they learn how to do the decision-making? And if you do not involve workers in that, there are no new ideas from the workers. And if there are no new ideas, organizations won't learn from the environment. And this is only applicable in the emergency situations. In other situations, this is relatively less applicable. Workers do not own the business organization and their decisions then, because they haven't participated in that. If we talk about the possible applications, I'm just writing it because we have already discussed them, but still I'm writing just to have a proof. Possible applications of autocritic. Defense forces, police services, always use the autocritic. Defense services, police services. And in the crisis management, even during the businesses, the autocratic style is used. The next style of leadership that we have is called democratic style of leadership, or democratic style of management. In the democratic style of management, the active participation from the workers is encouraged. Active participation from the workers is encouraged. And workers and managers combinedly involve themselves into the decision making process, and whatever the decision is taken combinedly. That's why if we talk about the features of the democratic style of leadership, it will be the participation is encouraged. Participation is encouraged. Participation is encouraged. Two-way communication. The discussions are done, the feedback is given, and workers receive information about the business and the project both. Workers receive information about the project, about the job that they're doing, and about the business too. That's why, if we consider the advantages of democratic leadership style, they are many in number. We say that democratic style of leadership helps to resolve the chronic problems, such problems that haven't been resolved over the years. The democratic style of leadership resolves them because they sit, they discuss, they involve in the decision making process. Secondly, it builds the team based relationship among the employees and the seniors and the juniors. It builds team based relationships. Then we say, as a result of democratic style of leadership, it improves the relevant knowledge of the team about the business or project because they are discussing everything. They are involving people in that. So it is basically developing the knowledge of the team. It is very motivating. Workers' satisfaction is increased. So this is where it goes on. Coming to the limitations and disadvantages of the democratic style of leadership. First of all, it's very time consuming because you are consulting with the workers. Some person is giving its own opinion, another one is giving its own opinion. So it's very time consuming. It cannot suit where quick decision making is required. Cannot to suit to situations where quick decision making is required. Some in sensitive issues of the business might not like to involve workers in that. Business might not like workers. For example, there is a decision going on about the closure of the business, and business do not want to workers get involved in that, because even if business decides to continue, the workers may identify that business is going to close and they may leave. So so in such situations, businesses do not like to involve workers in the decision making process. Then a democratic style of leadership is the source of information leakage too. People talk about the new products of the business, new designs, on their social media pages and all that, because they were part of the decision making process, and the important information of businesses leaked. Now, what are the possible situations, possible applications where such style of leadership can be used? Uh, First of all, where workers are expected to contribute to the business situations, an organization want to develop them. Organizations want to develop workers. In such situations, this style of leadership is very suitable. Where the workers are experienced and flexible, then also this style of leadership is useful. Workers are skilled and flexible. Such style of leadership is very useful. Uh, in the situations where situation demand a new way of thinking, you involve people in that because they always they come up with the new ideas. A new way of thinking. In such situations, you may involve workers and you may come up with the new ideas. The third style of leadership that we are going to study is paternalistic style of leadership. A little tricky one to study, but still we are going to. And please do ask any questions if you have after we study this paternalistic style of leadership. A management style that is based on the view that manager is in better position than the workers to know the best for the organization and workers both. A style with the view that manager is in a position to analyze the situation better, and decide what is better for the organization. We're talking about the paternalistic management style. I said you that manager feels that he's in a better position to understand the matters of the company, and he is in a better position to decide whatever is better for the company and employee both. I usually talking about the paternalistic style of management, I say that it should be parental style of leadership, because usually our parents do with us like this. They discuss the matter with us and convince us to whatever they want. This is called paternalistic style of leadership. For example, you ask your father to buy you an iPhone right now, and your father say, okay, I'll buy you an iPhone, but get a better grade in business and coming exams. If you score an A star, I'll buy you a phone. Now, there are two objectives achieved of the manager. If you talk about your father, one, that the immediate expense that was coming purchasing an iPhone is delayed, and second, your grades and performance will also improve. This kind of situation is called paternalistic style of leadership. If we talk about the paternalistic style of leadership features, what are the features of paternalistic? So they are many. First of all, managers think that they know what is best for the workers. What they think is better for workers. They do consult. It's not that it's autocritic style and they are not consulting with the workers. They are consulting with the workers, but making the decision that they want. They do consult with workers, but decision is their own. And that's why we call it, they sells the decision. It means they convince them that whatever we are saying is right. They sells their decisions to make worker happy. If we talk about the advantages, the first advantage is the last line that we have written, that worker feel more committed and happy. Worker feel more committed and happy. Second, in the surprisingly, in the paternalistic style of leadership, the absenteeism and labor turnover is always low. Because people feel they are being treated like a family. If decisions are actually made in the best interest of employees, they will motivate them in the future a lot, and they will realize that their leader is doing best for them. Favor employees in future, workers are best motivated. There is a level of understanding between the manager and the workers too in this style of leadership, but as we said, there are limitations of everything, so there are limitations of this style of management too. First of all, uh, some workers might get dissatisfied that they are asked about the things, but nothing happens after that. Whatever manager decides, then that is decided and that is taken as a decision. Some workers may get dissatisfied. And if decision go wrong in the future, that might reduce the trust on the leadership. If decision might go wrong in future, this might reduce the trust over the leadership. Uh, Coming towards the possible applications, it is used by the managers who actually have the genuine concerns about the workers' interest, and they are actually skilled enough to take the decisions, and the decisions should work, should come up with the better future of the workers. Who are skilled enough to decide the future of the workforce in their interest. When workers are young and inexperienced, this methods prove to be a very good in training them. When workers are young and inexperienced, this is a very good method to train them. So this is the possible applications of this style of management. Coming to the fourth style, that is called laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is also called hands-off approach. Hands-off approach. What is this hands-off approach? A style of management in which much of the decision-making process is left on the workers. A style of management in which much of the decision-making, in fact, all of the decision-making, much of the decision-making is left on the workers. They decide whatever, however, whatever the resources they want to allocate, it's all their own decision making. We talk about the features of the laissez-faire style of leadership. So, we were talking about the features of the laissez-faire style of management, uh, in which management virtually delegates all the decision making process. Management virtually delegates all decision making process. Secondly, there might be some criteria must be settled, that who will involve in it, because they cannot allow everyone to participate in the decision making. So they settle sometimes criteria. Criteria must be set to involve people in the decision making process. This is where it goes. If we talk about the advantages of laissez-faire style of leadership, first of all, it is helpful to maximize the potentials of people. It is very helpful to maximize the full potentials of people. Um, because okay, this is done. Secondly, uh, it develops the leadership skills among the employees. It develops the leadership skills among the employees. Then third one is people contribute a lot to the development of the environment of the business. People contribute a lot to the development of environment of business. About the limitations, If workers are not skilled enough, wrong decisions might be taken. I was saying that if workers are not skilled enough, wrong decisions might be taken. It may also lead to the uh, loss of customers in the future. If decision making was involved, something related to the customers, and a wrong decision is taken, it may result in the loss of customers in the future. Uh, because it does not involve any kind of feedback from the juniors to the seniors, and the juniors are taking the decision at their own, the lack of close supervision may also lead towards demotivation. May also lead to uh, demotivation among employees. So these are the uh, styles of leadership that we were supposed to study. Okay, one thing is remaining, that is the application of this style of leadership. First of all, when managers are too busy in their something else, they might leave the decision-making process on the workers. Secondly, if workers are very skilled and managers have full trust on that, then also they leave the decision-making on the workers. Workers are very skilled and managers have full trust on them. So this is also a situation where this style of leadership is very applicable. Sometimes work is very unimportant. Then also the manager leave the decision-making process on the workers. The second point that I've written, workers are very skilled in the market research situations. For example, if the workers are very skilled, they do whatever they want to do. And even some situations, for example, nobody teaches a lawyer in the courtroom how to give the arguments, and nobody teaches a surgeon in the surgery room how to do the surgery. People have trust on them because they are in charge of the situation and they do it very well. No, there is no need of the guiding them or giving them some lines to work and all that. So people work on that. These are the four styles of the management we need to learn, and these are the situations in which they are applicable.